from Wall Street. This is Juan Costello, Senior Analyst with the Wall Street Analyzer. Joining us today is Bryan Lewis, the CEO for Intellicheck Incorporated. The company trades on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbol IDN. Thanks for joining us today there, Bryan.
Thanks for having me, Juan.
Certainly. So starting off, please give us a history and overview there of the company for some of our listeners here that are new to your story.
Sure. We are the leader in ID authentication. The company's been around since the mid-'90s. We actually started off doing ID authentication for military bases. And when you were trying to get on a military base, the government figured the best way to make sure that you are who you say you are is to make sure that you have an authentic government-issued ID, whether it was a military ID, a state ID, or a driver's license. And we have since taken that same technology of authenticating an ID and brought it into the age verification space for age-controlled substances. We work with financial institutions and retailers to stop identity fraud and identity theft. And we are now working with law enforcement to help them verify who they're interacting with, and then also through the mobile phone put the power of the computer in the car in their hands.
Right, and bring us up to speed on some of your most recent news and activity there.
Sure. So on the age-restricted product front, we recently announced that Kansas, the Alcohol Beverage Control Board there, Florida, the Alcohol Beverage and Tobacco Group, AB&T, and then right before that, New York State announced that their DMV was using our products, our authentication products, to make sure that they could monitor the sale of age-restricted products. We also announced recently that we are bringing on board several more retailers for different use cases to prevent fraud from happening in their stores through identity theft. And we continue to work and partner with more law enforcement agencies for the Law ID product. So I'd say all around we're making progress in each one of the fronts, the three different markets that we're working with. And, especially we like when we get press, like from the New York State, the director of investigation for the DMV, saying that before they put our product out in the field with their officers, they checked 1,000 fakes through our system, and our application was able to catch all 1,000 of those fakes. So, I like to say that, we're 99.9% effective, but in that case, we were certainly batting 1,000.
Great. And what are the other key trends you're focusing on right now in the sector, and how is Intellicheck positioning itself to continue to capitalize?
I'd say that the largest sector for us to capitalize on large wins is in the financial institution retail space, and specifically dealing with identity theft, which in 2017 amounted to almost $17 billion. And the retailers and the banks bear the brunt of that. When somebody comes into a store and using a fake ID, and the fact that they can go online and buy all the information about you to have an ID that matches your address for around $2, they can buy your social security number. So they walk into a store, get instant credit, walk out, and that instant credit is now in your name. So the retailer and the bank have lost money, and you're now losing time as you try and clear up, this fraud that's been perpetrated against the consumer. So that is really coming to the forefront of people's understanding and worry. The Equifax breach last year, 145 million of us lost control of a lot of our data. That makes it easy for somebody to steal our identities. Accenture said that it takes 12 to 18 months for the time from a breach to when the data is used in fraud. So that means that we're coming into a holiday season that's going to be pretty rife, I think, with identity theft. So we offer a solution that is really simple and very frictionless to the consumer, which is something that you carry in your wallet can prove who you are because we can prove whether or not it's real. So we're working with lots of the retailers now to figure out how we can get the system in place for them so that they can protect themselves and the consumers, because identity theft is not going away. So that, I think, is one of the biggest opportunities that we have right now, is working with the banks and the retailers.
So what are some of the key factors you feel make IDN unique from some of the players in the sector?
I think that there's a lot of players in the sector who are using very complicated methods that require a lot of personally identifiable information to be put in databases. There's a lot of people talking about biometrics. I think those two things are fraught with concern from the consumer. I know that I certainly am not willing to put my biometrics in some national database for when I want to open up credit or initiate a transaction with somebody, because all my information has already been hacked. The last thing I want to do is have my biometrics hacked. So we offer a solution that is simple, and the consumer is used to do it. If you think about it, every time you check into a hotel, what do they want? Your credit card, and they want to look at your driver's license. People are comfortable using their ID to validate who they are. So what makes us simple is the fact it's frictionless and easy for the consumer. If you want to go in and get credit in a store, the same system that they use to scan and ring up your purchases can also then scan the ID, authenticate it, and if it's real, pass on all the data to the bank for credit approval. So it is simple, cost-effective, frictionless, and 99% effective. We know that we're catching a fraudulent transaction every 90 seconds. And each one of those transactions, the average for a department store at a low of $2,100 per transaction, to our jewelry store clients tell us that they lose over $3,500 a transaction. So these things add up. In Q2, I looked at 17 of our clients. We stopped 29,000 fraudulent transactions for those 17 clients, for a total of savings of around $62 million. So it does create a very compelling argument.
Certainly. And what are the key goals and milestones that you're looking at here over the course of the next 6 to 12 months?
I'd say the main thing that we're looking to do is light up a few more of the credit card issuers. That's the main goal that I've got the team working on, is bringing on board, again, the large credit card issuers who are losing millions and millions a year. If you look at, what they have in loss reserves on credit cards, well over $1 billion for most of these. Certainly some of that is just bad debt, but there's also a significant portion of it that is due to identity theft and fraud. So that's one of the main things. The other thing we want to do is continue to bring on more law enforcement agencies and the controlled substance agencies, because they are very good for us in terms of selling them directly to the retail establishments. If the people that are policing you are using a tool that you could also use to protect yourself, it's one of the reasons that so many of the retailers will end up purchasing our Age ID product to verify the age of people buying controlled substances.
Yeah, sure. And perhaps you could talk a little bit about your background experience, Brian, and who the key management there is.
Sure. So I come from a history of mostly fintech and dealing with large enterprise-wide sales. My previous role to this, I was the chief operating officer of a primary research firm that while I was in that role, we grew from $13 to $90 million in revenue in 4 years. So I enjoy coming in and helping companies that I think have a compelling story figure out how to monetize and become more operationally efficient. And I think we've got a great story here, and that really attracted me to this particular opportunity. We've got a great technology team headed by Russ Embry and Frank Lubin. The CFO has been with the company for well over 10 years, understands everything about what we do, and actually is one of those CFOs who also makes a great salesperson. And our head of sales, Paul Fisher, has a long history in the space dealing with retail theft, security, safety, so understands the business that we're in very, very well and leads an exceptionally strong team.
Well, sure. And as far as investors and the financial community, what are some of the key drivers there that you wish they better understood about you guys?
First and foremost, that fake IDs and identity theft are not going away. And companies need ways to authenticate who is on the other side of the transaction with them. You think about in Q2, there were 681 million pieces of data that were breached about all of us. So, and I don't see an end to the breaches. As quickly as people think they've got it encrypted, somebody figures out a way to get into it. So the problem is there. It's not going away, and I'd say it's probably only going to get larger. We are making our presence known a lot more than we did before, which is helping us in all of our marketing and sales. And we do have that solution that is very simple. It doesn't require the retailer or the bank to buy anything new. We integrate into something they already have, which is their point-of-sale system. We authenticate who you are with something that you carry around in your wallet with you every day, which is your ID. And people are comfortable using that to prove who they are. And we are good at what we do. I'll go back to the New York State, catching 1,000 out of 1,000 fakes. We tell people we're 99.9% effective. A heck of a lot better in that case. So we've got the tools that stop the fraud before it happens. At the point of sale, when somebody is trying to steal someone's identity and purchase items or get credit or get a loan, we can stop it before it happens with instantaneous results.
Well, great. And once again, joining us today is Bryan Lewis, CEO for Intellicheck Incorporated, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbol IDN. Currently trading at $235 a share. Market cap is about $36 million. And we'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us today, Bryan, and update our investor audience on Intellicheck. It was great having you on.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed being here.